record this to the computer. And cool. So yeah, where's everyone calling from? Calling? Where's everyone coming in from? So yeah, Glenn, I know is in New York City. When am I coming to New York? I would love to go to New York soon. I got Mariana's from New York as well. I've got family in Brooklyn. They originally were from, where are they from? Flatbush originally, but now they live in Canarsie. So it's my auntie, my mum's sister. Yeah, I'll bring Chris with me next time I'm going. Got Richmond. I love Richmond. Love a really, really nice place there, Sinem. We've got Cardiff. I'm actually going to be in Cardiff next month. I was in Cardiff last month, going to be in Cardiff next month. Sardinia. Oh, wow. Never been there, but that looks amazing. Cassandra's in the house. North Wheezy in W10 is here. Improved weather Wales. You know what? Right now in Spain, it's very windy. The weather is not great, and this week is going to rain. It looks like the next 2 weeks it's going to rain, and I'm going to say something which might be sound quite controversial or weird, and that is, I'm glad it's going to rain. We need the rain because once April hits and it doesn't rain until November time, or it might randomly rain like a couple of days, it becomes very dry. And once it becomes very dry, the probability of having fires and bushfires is a lot. So what you'll find in Spain is that people really want it to rain. So I'm actually hoping it does rain because it's not rained as much as it usually does, which means a very dry and hot summer. Brilliant. All right, so let's get into it because what I want to talk about today, I mentioned this, I would say one of the early stages of the fortnightly fix. So if you was tuning in round about October time, I was talking about the essential eight. So these are eight things that most people use large language models for. And I said I wanted to go deeper into them. And today I'm going to go deeper into one of the eight. So I'm going to break down the eight, what they are. But today I'm going to go into a bit more depth on how you can get the most out of a particular functionality. So I'm just going to share my screen. Also, I'm going to try my best to finish before 9 o'clock today. Well, 9 o'clock my time. So usually an hour, but I'm going to see if I can make it slightly less for two reasons. One, it's just me today. So it's just me and my son is right in front of the Disney Channel at the moment. And I'm sure he's going to come in a minute because this film that he's watching is not going to last another hour. So you'll probably see him come in a minute. And secondly, my football team starts playing in half an hour. So Arsenal's about to kick off. Big game for us. We're going for the title. And yeah, so I definitely want to catch that as well. But I'm going to make sure that this session, I want you to A, understand, but B, start doing. Because what I'm going to show you is going to be things that you're probably doing already. And some of you might be doing it really, really well. I'm just going to give the people who want to know about summarizing with ChatGPT or any large language model. I want to kind of show you different ways to do it. And if you're doing it well already, hopefully I might give you one or two things that you look at and think, okay, I didn't see it that way. Or you can jump in as well and say, Andrew, have you thought about this? Have you looked at that? Not just me, but to help everyone else as well. So I'm just pulling up here. Okay, so summarizing. Why do I want to talk about summarizing? Before I get to summarizing, one of the things that I have spoke about multiple times, whether it be on Fortnightly Fix, whether it be on my In a Nutshell daily podcast, if you've seen me train, especially if I'm training in AI, you would always hear me talk about the martial arts belt system. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to use ChatGPT, now some of you might have left ChatGPT because what's been going on this week. So I'm going to say ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Gemini, whatever one you want. Yeah, let's jump into Claude thoughts. I'll tell you my thoughts in a minute, Glenn. Regardless of what large language model you use, what we want to get good at is prompting. The fundamentals of AI, generative AI, is one, prompting, two, what tool you use, and free your imagination. The only thing that's holding you back from where you are now to what you ultimately want to achieve, I'll say the only thing, one of the main things is your imagination. That's what's holding most people back. That's what I've seen. You have got tools, and I've said this multiple times. You have got tools that are like weapons from the future, and everyone else is playing with bows and arrows. Utilize these weapons. So, one of the key things is obviously prompting, but prompting is like karate. You've got white belt prompts, like you have white belt in karate, and then you have black belt prompts, like you have black belts in karate or any martial art. Everyone starts at a white belt. If I go into a dojo right now, if I'm doing jujitsu, karate, taekwondo, wherever martial arts discipline, I will start at a white belt. It's the same with prompting. If nobody's ever used a large language model before and you put them in front of Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT and you said do something, they're already on that white belt level. So for you, you don't want to be dealing with white belt. There is a time and place to use white belt, and I'm going to get to that by the end of the session. But you don't want to be white belt prompting. You want to be going up the belt system. You know, whether it be, I'll keep it to jiu-jitsu because it's just 5 belts, so it's easy. White, blue, purple, brown, black. You want to be playing, I would say for you guys, just because I know a lot of you already, purple. This is another way of saying basic, basic to intermediate, intermediate, intermediate to advanced, advanced. I just keep it a belt system just because I like martial arts. But you want to be at least playing on the intermediate level. As if you're not there now, by the end of the year, you really want to be on the intermediate level. That's where your focus should be. So what I'm going to show you are different ways to do that, because the skill here is deciding which belt you need and when. When it comes to martial arts, the skill is not necessarily being able to do flying kicks or spinning kicks. What wins you matches is knowing when to do it. And I can take this away from martial arts. I can bring it down to yoga, for example. There's a time and place to do the most complicated pyramids and warrior poses, etc. But sometimes you just need a good down dog. And it's just knowing when to do it. So I'm going to show you from a summarizing point of view, the different levels. But what will make you advanced is not the more complicated prompts. It's being able to know when to use the white belt prompt. So that's going to ultimately save you time. And that's really what today is about. It's well, not even today. When I break down what I call the 8 essentials, that's really what it's about. It's knowing the levels, being able to use different skill levels from beginner to advanced, but more importantly, knowing when to use it. So if you haven't heard me say this before, these 8 things that you see on the screen are 95% of what most people, when it comes to using large language models, do. They're either generating content, analyzing something, summarizing something, reformatting, so taking an image and turning it into a video, or taking a piece of text and turning it into an infographic, coming up with ideas, questions, whether asking questions or getting large language model to ask you questions, optimizing something. So I created this. Can you optimize it for this audience? Or look at this web page. Can you optimize it for search? Or you're doing it to research and educate yourself. The hallucinations, by the way, usually happens within questions and research and editing. So I would say even if you look at your last 50 prompts, they're pretty much going to be one of these 8 things. Now, our aim, going back to the martial arts belt system, is to get all 5 of those covered. Basic, basic to intermediate, intermediate, intermediate to advanced, or advanced. Or white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. So today, I'm just going to be focusing on summarizing. Now, when it comes to summarizing, the reason why I want to start this one off is because this is probably the one that I find the easiest to do in the sense that anyone could do it right now. But this is also the one where I feel, and again, this is just for me training people when I'm training people, and I've trained about 3 to 4 thousand people already in AI. But this is where I find people stick at the basic level because it's so simple. Now, what exactly do I mean by summarizing them? If I'm going to use a large language model to summarize, I'm trying to figure out what it actually matters. So if I've got a piece of content and I want to summarize it, I want to know what actually matters. I want to start cutting all of the waffle and the crap, but still keeping the meaning. Because if you look at newspapers now, there's a whole bunch of text on the newspaper website, but really there's only about 2 sentences that matter. So that's kind of what you want to summarize. And the reason why they keep it long is because they put ads and that's how they obviously make money. But you want to cut out the waffle and get to the point. Explaining something so the right person understands it quicker. I can summarize something, but the problem, and this kind of is the opposite of cutting out the waffle. Sometimes there's a lot of good information, but you just don't have time to let everybody know all of the information. So you want to summarize in a way that this works for this person, this works for that person, that one works for that person, and everyone gets something out of it, but there's still like the meat for each person. And the last one is turning a flood of information into something you can act on. So this is more from a personal point of view. So I can take a 4 or 5 hour interesting podcast and it's great to listen, but right now I might want to act on it. So this is the reason why I still like books. So have I got a book here? Yeah. So I'm just grabbing a book. When it comes to my books, not so much this one because this is a fiction book. It's a great book, by the way. It's called Ready Player Two. If you've read the first one, Ready Player One, great book. But this is why I still like books because I'm the type of person, not so much in a book like this, but I'm the type of person that I'll have my pen and I'll be taking notes and then I'll be taking pictures of it sometimes on my phone and then acting on it. But now I can summarize it in a way that I can act on a lot quicker. So when it comes to summarizing, these are kind of 4 things what I mean by summarizing. So let's go through the belt system and what level each kind of form of summarizing means. So let's stick to white belt. White belt essentially is it's basically what you would think it is. I go and I'll just do this live as well. So if I go to here, so I'm gonna use Gemini. I'll answer your question, Glenn. So last week I would have showed you ChatGPT. Because of ChatGPT's stance on wanting to help use essentially weaponize they want to basically do work with the US military. And I think the controversial reason is because Anthropic, who runs Claude, they said no. Well, they said, yes, we can work with you, but there's 2 or 3 points that we are not compromising on. And the American government said, no, it has to be everything. So they said no. And they walked away from a huge deal and also the impact because they essentially, if I'm correct, the US government has said that it's a risk now. And they only usually do that with foreign companies. Because of that, other people that's connected to the government, they can't work with Claude. Within hours, ChatGPT said, hey, we'll do it. We'll do it. And when I talk about weaponization, it's not just what you're seeing at the moment, but it also means surveillance and all the other things as well. So because of that, a lot of people drop ChatGPT. Have I dropped it? Ish. I'll say ish. My large language model of choice now, and it was going that way anyway, is actually Perplexity. That's the one that I'm using more and more. I still use ChatGPT a lot because I like projects. I like the way it's trained, what I've trained it, and also because other people, when I'm training them, the 2 most popular ones, by far is ChatGPT or Copilot. So I want to show, if I'm training someone, I want to be able to show them the tool that they use. Even though I might say, and even with the summary, it works across all platforms. But sometimes it's easy just to build comfort with people, just showing them the one that they use. So that's the reason why I still use ChatGPT. The problem though with Claude, everyone's gone to Claude, but Claude only a couple of months ago had to settle a lawsuit on private on piracy. So they just basically was just stealing people's content. Which, when I say the two most popular questions I get when it comes to AI, what is impact on the environment, and it's killing the creative industry, or it's killing because it's stealing. It's not even um, compensating people. So people's gone to Claude, but Claude is not innocent. And today, actually, my podcast episode was: are we going to have to go for the less of two evils, or three evils, or four evils, or just accept that every single AI platform that's going to be big is doing some evil thing, and we've just got to work out what is the less evil for us? Now, that might be how we be using the internet anyway, because I'm sure Google's not got clean hands, and Microsoft and Apple, etc. So anyway, I'm just kind of going off on a tangent, but if you didn't know that, that's the reason why a lot of people are going to ChatGPT. So what's everyone else's thoughts, by the way? You can put your thoughts on. 2 episodes. Oh, did I put 2 episodes out today? I didn't realize. Yes, I did. Oh, that was an accident, Lawrence. Thank you for letting me know. Because I actually had planned it and then I put that, so I scheduled it. I might have to take one of them back and then put it out for next week. Yeah, that was an accident. There's reason too. But thank you very much, Lawrence. I did not realize that. Ah, thank you. Right. So let's get back to summarizing. So what you would do, what I would typically do, I'm just going to use it from I'm just going to summarize from a podcast. Oh, thank you very much. So let's go to this one here. So good old Diary of a CEO. I don't know if anyone's a fan of the episodes, or even if you're a fan of Bartlett. But what I've got is this handy tool. It's called, what's this called again? Uh, what's it called again? Glasp. And what it is an extension that if I click here, I can get the transcript of all of the YouTube videos. So what I tend to do is I click transcript, copy the transcript, then I'll go to someone like Gemini, and then I might type in something like, put that there, and I go, summarize this. And then what will happen is it will just summarize what was being said in that particular one. Whatever I put in here, what's the fastest way to earn? Yeah, the fastest way to earn from AI before it's too late. And it's just kind of going into that. So it's giving me 3 things and it's just summarizing. This here is what I call white belt prompting. Don't get me wrong. When I say white belt prompting, I don't mean it's a bad thing. You know, white belt prompting can also be, it's useful, very useful, but it's just basic. It doesn't tell you much detail. If you really look at white belt prompting, you get a good answer. We definitely do. But that answer, I didn't read it, but it kind of summarized, it done what I asked for it. And it's nice and to the point. Great. But what it doesn't do is when I type summarize this, it doesn't say who the summary is for. It doesn't say why it is needed. It doesn't say what the reader cares about. It doesn't say what should be prioritized or ignored. It doesn't say what format is required. It doesn't say what decisions need to be made. All really, really handy things. So when it comes to as I said, what I like to call white belt prompting, there's some really handy things, but it doesn't go into the detail. And that's something that I'm interested in, the detail of things. Now, the large language model, whatever one you use, so Gemini, it does what it's trained to do. You know, it creates neutral, middle of the road recap. It's not got any more information than that. And that's why I keep it as like white belt. So the questions I often ask people, if you're going to use that, would you send that directly to your boss? So imagine if it wasn't what I was doing. Imagine you were summarizing a report or something. If you just said summarize this, would you send it to your boss? Would you use that to make a decision? Would you even publish it as content? Probably not. The model chooses what matters. And the model chooses balance over priority. So it looks at many different things and it works out what's a good balanced answer. You don't necessarily want that. So it you know the stakes, the model doesn't. You know your audience, the model doesn't. You know context, the model doesn't. So whether you're summarizing for someone else or summarizing for yourself, keeping it that is useful, but we need to go up the belt system. So when is a good time to use white belts? It's just it's when you want a quick overview before deciding whether to spend time on it. So this is just very quick. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Actually, I want to find out a bit more. So that's white belt. The next level is blue belt. Now, so I'm just trying to find something. Okay, so that's white belt, blue belt. This is where we can go into a bit more information here. This is where we can kind of say, all right, let's put some context behind this. So when you look at blue belt, this is where you can focus. So focus improves when space is limited. If you ask for one sentence, the model must choose the core idea. So if you're saying here, summarize this in one sentence, you're putting constraints around your summary now. Focus is a key thing. Another thing is structure. So structure improves when format is defined. Bullet points look clearer. So what you could do is, where is it? I can give examples. It's just some examples. So I'm going to go to just use this example here. And I'm going to say, I go back to this and say, using the transcript I typed, can you now summarize it in 5 points? 5 bullet points. So now it's got some bullet points. This will help me if give it some constraints. So again, it will help me focus. This is when you talk about length. This is when you talk about structure. All of these things. I could have asked it to summarize it in one sentence or 4 sentences, but now rather than just summarizing it and letting the model decide, now I might say actually summarize it in 35 characters. If I'm doing SEO and I've got a meta description, and I think I can't remember how much it is now, but let's say if it was 100 characters, can you summarize this in 100 characters? Using characters is a good one, especially if you're using social media. Here comes my son. I knew it was a matter of time. 1 second. Yes, Dylan. Do you want to say hello? Do you want to say hi? It's my mom. There you go. You want to say hi? Hi. Hi. Okay. Do you want to go back and watch? Daddy will be with you in a minute. Okay. Okay, Daddy will do it in a minute. In a minute, Dylan. In a minute. All right. Sorry about that. So I knew he was going to come. It was just a matter of when. It was just a matter of when. Oh, thanks, guys. Um, so yeah, so this is what I'll talk about blue belt. So give it some constraints, and that could be to do with length or focus, length, structure, etc. Now, here's some limitations around blue belts. It's still not defined. Even though you're putting constraints, length, structure, it's still not defined. It's still not saying who it's for, what the reader needs, what matters most. Blue belts, if you really, really want to kind of get to a good level, you control shape, but it still doesn't give you priority. The model's still, to an extent, deciding what matters. So let me just go back to it. If it was, for example, on LinkedIn, summarize this article about coffee and cold brew trends in 3 bullet points. That's another example that you might want to do if you're summarizing to generate content. So what you've got here is white belt is very much just summarize this, just quick information. Blue belt is summarizing, but you're putting some constraints around it. And it works when you need something short, but more importantly, structured. So does this all make sense so far? If it does, press one. If not, press two. I'm going to make sure it makes sense so far. Cool. All right, brilliant. So what we want to do though is go to the next level. This is where we really want to kind of be. And this is when we get to purple belts. Purple belt is another way of me saying intermediate level. So when it comes to summarizing something, purple belt will go into a bit more detail. So if I say at white belt, they gave no direction. At blue belt, they controlled length and format. At purple belt, they answer the most important question, and that is, what is this summary for? So I'm just going to give you some examples here. If you can see, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me, so it'll be easier to see for you guys. This is what examples might be. Summarize this for a manager who needs to decide whether to approve this. So obviously this might be something that you do at work. Summarize this for a new team member who needs to understand the basics. So if you're delegating it to somebody or you're training someone, summarize this focus on, and it might be whatever reason, financial impact, marketing, human resource, whatever it may be. Summarize this for a senior leader who needs to decide whether to move forward. So not only are you saying who it's for, but an action point that they're likely to take. Summarize this for a junior team member who needs more understanding or more context. Summarize this focus only on risks and potential downfalls. So you're taking all of the information that's there and just saying, what are the risks and potential downfalls? Or summarize this focusing only on opportunities and upside. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to this. Where am I? Here. And I say, using the transcript I gave you. What does this? Let's see if it works for this. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, I just put, what did it say? Summarize this based on summarize this focusing on only opportunities and upside. On opportunities and upside. So what it's doing now is, now I'm not reading it as well, obviously, but what it's looking at now is it's giving me 5 bullet points as well. So I think it's still remembering from last time, but now it's just focusing on the things that it sees as an opportunity or an upside. Now, if I said the negative, it would just do that. So it's taking that same information and just looking at the negative. But this here is also where one of the most important things comes into play. And that's when you've trained the model. If you've ever seen me speak before, you would know that I go on and on and on about training a large language model. It's one of the most important things you can do. Whatever large language model you're using, you want to be able to train it so it knows you. Now, what it knows about you is up to you. You know, I can go into, let's say, ChatGPT, the one I use the most, the one that's trained the most, and it knows all about my business, all about my podcast, all about loads of different things. But what it doesn't know is my son's name or how old my son is. Well, I should say it doesn't know. It might be listening to me all of the time, but I know it, I haven't told it. So if I went into it and I said, how old is my son? It would say, I don't know. So you can decide what goes into it. Because it's trained on you, so because it knows who I am, because it knows what like to do, the opportunities, my strengths, my weaknesses, etc. When I transcribe, I can also now say, sorry, when I summarize, I can take that same transcription and I can say, summarize this, but knowing what you know about me, how can this help me improve my podcast or improve my business or improve whatever it may be? So in fact, I'll do it. Um, yeah, Lawrence, I've heard this. I've actually heard this earlier on today from one of my best mates. He was saying that Gemini is not good at memorizing. I actually, I still think ChatGPT is probably the best one when it comes to memorizing. Um, if I go back to, where was I here? So if I go back to here, I'll just copy this. And I'm going to go into, I'll go to ChatGPT. So now I might say, I'll put this here and then I'll say, knowing what you know about my podcast, can you summarize this, but only with things you think can help me grow? And then what he's doing is saying, okay, so it's saying you run a 10-minute blog, blah, 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 blah. And then it's saying, 1 second, Dylan. And then it's saying AI is moving from tools to entire industry. And it's just basically breaking down things that will be relevant to me. And because I've structured it in a way as well, it's doing it that way. So I always like to end it with a key takeaway. Whenever technology reduces cost dramatically, usage increases massively. That creates marketing and business opportunities. Now, if I wanted to, I could then say create 5 or 6 areas. So here it's got the 3 angles that fit your podcast best. AI shifting from tools to entire industries. Natural language is becoming the new interface. AI is the productivity engine. Now, let's see if at the end it says, I does usually sometimes it will say, do you want me to do this or do you want me to do that? But here it says the real opportunities and stuff. But it works because now I can go to something that I like. Let's say a podcast episode or whatever it may be, a report, the 26 or the most popular trends in social media this year. And as long as I can give it context, and I can give it context because I've trained the model, my prompt is quite short, but to the point and relevant. And this is when we start going up the levels. This is why purple is that level that you kind of want to get to, because what purple belt will do is it will just make life a lot easier for you. Now, limitations. Well, shifts and limitations. So the main shift is that there's no such thing as one correct summary. There is only a summary that fits the purpose, and that's the shift. So even white belt, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's as I said, knowing the time and place when to use it. But this is also when realize and make it hits the purpose or make it relevant to you. That's the shift that happens when it comes to summarizing. Now, a couple other things. You shape what the model pays attention to. You are now controlling purpose, but the output may still not be structured for decision making because it doesn't tell. Obviously, I went into a bit more detail about what are the 3 things that it recommends from a summary point of view, but it doesn't really break down into the detail that I might want it to. And that's where it comes to the purple belt. It's good to use me when you have a specific outcome in mind. So again, make this relevant to my business. Make this about my eating habits. Make this about whatever it may be. Which takes us to brown belt. This is where we start getting to the advanced levels. This is where we start really showcasing different ways we can summarize, going into a bit more detail. So, brown belt, someone can read it and immediately know what matters, what could go wrong, what to do next. Or what I like to call, what is this? So what now? What do we do now? I can take that episode, whatever episode, I could take anything really, a report, whatever, and what I want to be able to do in my prompt is make sure that when I summarize, when I say summarize this too, I know what matters for me and whoever, if I'm giving it to somebody. I also know the downsides or the potential limitations or the risks, but also the opportunities and what I can do next. If it's that type of thing that you want to summarize. And this is when we get to brown belt level. This is what consultants do, have been doing for decades. What is this? All right, here's the reason why it's important, and here's what you should do. It's the same when it comes to reports and data. Data, really, you just need to answer. It's all about decisions. What is this? So what? What now? Brown belt also will help you improve accuracy and reduce the risk of the model guessing. The last two or three, the model's kind of guessing. You're giving it some constraints, etc., but the model's still kind of guessing. Now it's taking the information to do exactly what you want. So use only information clearly stated in the text. Do not assume missing details. Flag anything that's unclear. All of these things that can go in your prompt. So one of the key things, this is not in summarizing, this is just in the whole of AI and the whole of digital, is trust. Trust has been a big thing in digital. When we get to this level, purple, brown, black, you want to be able to manage trust. This is really, really important. How do I manage trust? Whether it be trust in the model, trust in answers, etc. This is the level that you want to be, or as I said, purple, brown, black, doing that. Examples. Summarize this report. List the 5 most important points. For each point, include the exact sentence from the document or the video transcript that supports it. So here, when I say summarize this report, it could be report, document, video transcript, but you're summarizing this. You're listing 5 most important points. And if it's trained, it knows what's the important points to you. And for each point, reference it so you know where it is. Because the problem that I find with summarizing sometimes is that if it's like a 2-hour show and it gives me like a 2 minutes, I know that there's a lot of stuff that I might miss unless I summarize it properly into the stuff that I like. There is still that chance, but it's, as I said, less risk. So this is an example here. Another one, summarize this. Highlight what you believe are the most important points. Explain why you choose them. So now you're saying to it, why this one or why that one? And hopefully it will come back and say, the reason why is because I know you do this, or I know in the past you've done that. I know that you mentioned before your boss is interested in, and this is the reason why. So it's kind of giving you more reason. Another one, your first prompt might be extract the 10 most important sentences from this text. Then the next one, once it's done it, now summarize those sentences. So not only are you taking the 10 most important sentences out, you're summarizing within the summary, if that makes sense. Another one, summarize this text. List the key points. For each key point, quote the sentence from the original text that supports it, which is similar to the first one, but now add this. If something is unclear or missing, please say so. So again, it's looking into it into more detail and explaining why. And I hear my son again. 1 second. Dylan, 1 second. If you go back, Dylan, in a minute. Sorry, guys. One second. I'll be really, really quickly. There's a 4-year-old having a tantrum. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay. He's got his ice cream. He should be happy for at least another 18 minutes. All right. So, what's at stake? Large language models are great at summarizing, but they are not aware of stakes. They do not know what your boss cares about. They do not know what could get you fired. It doesn't know what is sensitive from a political, economical, whatever reason. It also doesn't know what details are critical as well. So a brown belt is good to use, and this is the real skill. It's not asking what is the summary, it's why is that the summary. That's the brown belt. It's about the why. So, does this all make sense so far? If it does, press 3. If not, press 4. I just want to make sure the last two belts, purple and brown, make sense. So it doesn't make sense in them. Oh, it does. Okay, cool. Brilliant. So that leads us to black belt. But here's the thing, when it comes to black belt for me is not a case of knowing extra. Well, you can obviously know a lot more, but it's just more about solidifying things. This is really where it's key. It's a case of just doing it over and over and over again, prompting, making sure this works, making sure that works. It's about judgment at this level. It's knowing focus. I've always said the difference between someone that's advanced and intermediate is not knowing more, it's knowing what to focus on. You would say Mr. Beast is an advanced social media person because he's obviously the most followed person on YouTube. Put Mr. Beast on Blue Sky, he'll have an idea because he kind of get the concept of social media, but he's not going to be getting those YouTube numbers. But you would say he's an expert, but really he's an expert on focus, doing YouTube, doubling down, and doing it to an amazing level. It's the same as people that are big on Instagram or Twitter, or like the way things are going now is just expert in one particular area, and that's what makes people unique. You don't get a black belt you don't really get in a martial arts somebody who's a boxer that's a black belt at boxing, even though boxing doesn't have a belt system, but amazing world champion boxer and also a world champion grappler and a world champion wrestler. You don't get those type of people. You might say, what about mixed martial arts? You put a mixed martial arts against a boxer, they'll lose. You put a mixed martial arts against a world class jiu-jitsu person, they'll lose. They're good at overall stuff. But against something very specific, not really. Why? Because of focus. So this is really what black belt is about. It's that focus. It's about being consistent. It's about simplifying. It's about being patient. So when it comes to an example, summarize this transcript, then answer, what ideas in this episode are overrated? What ideas are actually useful? What might be missing from this conversation? Now the model is not just summarizing, it's also analyzing. Now we're combining different parts of the essential eight. Also, assume that it knows who you are, because as I said, once you've trained the model and you're doing it, you're already on the intermediate to advanced level. Brock Lesnar, great MMA, but you put Brock Lesnar in a boxing match against even an amateur boxer, he'll probably lose. Great wrestler. And when I mean wrestling, he was great at wrestling. But again, if you look at his MMA fights, he would basically wrestle. He'll know enough to get close to take you down. And once he's grabbed you, forget it. Yeah, that's it. It's the same as Ronda Rousey. She won the same move for years, which was arm bars. But you put Ronda Rousey against the boxer, which will actually happen. She got knocked out, and then she was losing all of the time. So, if you had to break down the belt system, white belt, vague. Still good, vague. Blue belt gives it shape. Purple belt gives it purpose. Brown belt gives it structure. Black belt, judgment. These are what I'm going to do for each of these 8 is break down the levels of each. And as I said, by the end of the year, you want to be at least purple belt in all of them. If you're purple belt in all of them, that means There's nothing stopping you doing a hell of a lot. If you're focused on money, there's nothing stopping you making money, a lot of money. There's nothing stopping you moving up the levels at work. Well, definitely. Well, obviously there's work politics and nepotism and stuff, but from a skill level, there's nothing stopping you. You know, in fact, forget even work. Anything that you want to do, if you can get to a purple belt on pretty much most of those things, then you are in a very, very, very strong position. Because most people are still white belts in one or two of those things. Now, here's the thing. If you look at, let's say, football, soccer, football. I know there's a few Americans here. Um, the best players, Messi, Ronaldo, when they were on the pitch, especially at the prime, they were not always doing the crazy, crazy things that only they could do. What they would do is they'll simplify the game. It's the same as basketball. I'm a massive fan of Michael Jordan. Yes, Michael Jordan can pull out those spinning windmill things, but he can also just hit a nice jump shot, uh, 5 foot from the basket. Because what you'll notice is that if you're great at all of those, you get to a black belt level, you know when to use the white belt. And that's the key thing. It's when I talk about white belt, brown belt, black belt, etc. What I really am saying is I want you guys to get to a certain level and then go back to white belt or brown belts because sometimes that's all you need. Sorry, blue belts. Sometimes that's all you need. You know, it's not always about that complicated prompt. It's not always about going into so much detail. Sometimes it's just that. Okay, go watch one more. I'll be there in a minute. I know, but it's going to start another one. Go. Sometimes that's all you need. And like with boxing, when you do your first boxing lesson, the first punch you will ever learn is the jab, the basic jab. Then you can become all the way world champion. But what keeps you world champion or get you to world champion is the jab. You know, it's the first punch. Yes, you will learn a lot more, but ultimately it goes back to the fundamental jab. And this is really what I kind of want to tell you about. It's the learn the five, learn the different levels, but you'll probably end up going back to the first two. But now you'll know how to use them more efficiently. So that really is pretty much what I want to talk about. Has anyone got any questions? Anyone got any questions of what I've gone or spoke about? If you have, just put a 4 in the chat. If you have any questions, is the deck available? No, but I can send it. I'm just trying to think the best way to send it. I'll try and work out a way. So what usually happens at the end? No, it's a PDF, but I'm trying to work out how you can get it. So that's what I'm just trying to work out. Shall do I send an email which usually has a link to the recording, but I can link it to the PDF as well. I'll have a think, but I need to get it done tonight. Yeah, I'll probably just put a link to it. I'll upload it somewhere and then do that. So yeah, you guys can have the deck as well. No worries. Thanks, Ian. As I said, one thing I've been saying pretty much, and I'll continue saying this for the rest of the year. We have a golden period. We're in the golden era of AI, but it's coming to an end by the end of the year. After that, you know, it's going to be too expensive. You don't want to be testing summarizing when you're paying for it. You know, what I mean by that is right now, you might be paying for ChatGPT or whatever anyway now, but we're used to paying for it and we're doing it for multiple things. And if you're at the stage of paying for it, you're probably using it quite a bit. But soon, we're going to have to be paying for a lot, or what we get for free, it will be so basic. Test now, because there's a lot of things you can do for free, or I wouldn't be surprised in a year or year and a half's time, the £20 a month one is like the free version that we have now. And there'll be a £2,000 a month one. And the one that they're really trying to push most people on is the £200 a month one. And that will pretty much do like the level that we're getting now for the £20 a month one. Test now. Test now while we're in this golden era because you don't want to be spending a lot of money testing. You know, it's not Vegas. And what I mean by that is, I remember going to Vegas and I said to the blackjack dealer, "Can I have a trial run?" And he just laughed at me. He's like, "No, you're either paying or you're not." So it was very much the same. You don't want to be able, you don't want that to happen. You want to be able to like test now in the trial runs where we can do it free. So everything I've shown you today, what I've done is free. Apart from when I went onto ChatGPT, that's because I've got a paid for version. But that's where you want to kind of test it. So what will the masses do? What, as in, what will they do when if they don't pay? If that's the case, Glenn, I think they'll be left behind. If I'm being honest, um, which choice will they have? They'll have options. There'll still be free versions, but what you'll see now, if you use the free version of ChatGPT, a lot of people say it's about 6 to 8 months behind the paid for version, and it's very limited in what you can do. If you start using it, not necessarily a heavy user, but if you use it quite a lot, you quite quickly run out of things that you'll be able to do for free. And then you just get frustrated. And then you might swap to a different model and you won't be able to train it as well. And so what I often say to people is, if you can afford £20 a month, just pay for it because you can easily make that money back. Um, whether it's like money for money or I will pay £20 to save X amount of time. So for me, one of the things that I always pay every week is a cleaner because I hate cleaning and I just don't have time, and neither does my girlfriend. And we got a toddler. So, and we got three cats and a dog. So I know that if I pay £20 an hour and for 3 hours, that is for what the cleaner can do, it's going to take me a whole day. And I don't mind cleaning, but I'm not going to enjoy it if I had to do it every week. And I know that I can make more than £60 a day, or £60 a week or a day, if you break it down that way, for work. So I'm just like, all right, I'll just pay for that. That's the value. And that's what I think any of the large language models can do. Cass, they will have a terrible free version with ads. Yes, that's the other thing. Ads is coming. Ads has started in America. Claude has said they're not going to do ads. Google has said they're not going to do ads, but agendas change. Netflix said they weren't going to do ads. And now I can't watch anything on Netflix without ads coming into it. So that's the thing. Like they say this now, but they're going to have to make money. They've invested billions, and the money that they get in are from the financial world. And the financial world, one thing I know about them is they want their money back. I've worked with a lot of people who work with a lot of VCs, and they are hardcore. You could be tripling what you made last quarter, and they'll be like, "Why is it not quadrupling?" So they're gonna have to get their money back somehow. And subscription, I don't know many models where you just do subscription and it works. Even with Sky, it's subscription with ads. You know, so I can't see it, or what they'll try and do is I just can't see it. If I'm being honest, I can't see it. It might not be now, it might not be this time next year, but it's coming. For the other models, ChatGPT, you're gonna see it all over soon. Cool. Any other questions? No. All right. Is there anything? And by the way, my football team's winning at the moment. Good job. Is there anything that you want me to cover in the next coming weeks, months, etc.? Yeah, I think I will at the moment. At the moment, it's 1-0 to us, and we scored in the ninth minute. Um, and our arch rivals are 0-0. Midjourney. I can talk about Midjourney, but there are people out there that are way better at Midjourney than me. But I can talk about it from the most I can talk about it from a stylization editing point of view. I can definitely do that. So if you notice on the deck there was a theme, I use Midjourney to do all of that. What I might do is just more images, image prompting, and I'll use Midjourney as an example. Um, Visuals best practice. Yeah, we could talk about that. I know you mentioned last week last time. Yeah. Thank you very much. Up the Gunners. Yeah. Do you do you think Nano is easier? You know what? I actually prefer ChatGPT. When it comes to images, Nano Bananas come out, Nano Banana 2's come out. I still think ChatGPT. Well, then again, I've not tried it like a lot. I've done it like basic things, but I don't know. I think ChatGPT, from an editing point of view, is I just find it easier. Um, Nano Bananas two hit and miss for me. Um, yeah, two hit and miss. Oh, thank you, Dylan. Cheers. He gave me his ice cream. Um, yeah. I don't know if anyone else might find it different, but some people might find Nano Banana, but I don't know why. For me, it's just been hit and miss. Midjourney is good for stylization. That's what I found it great for. Hopefully, there'll be a Midjourney the eighth version will come out very soon, but we'll see. Other image generators, C Dance is pretty well. C Dance is great, but it's mainly the videos that they're focusing on. But C Dance is pretty good as well. Love Nano. Yeah, Midjourney best aesthetics. Yeah, definitely. I need to try Nano more now that the Nano Banana 2's come out. I need to really try it more. And then really, I want to get into more of the videos as well. I want to really practice more on videos. And what I'm going to be doing as well is I'm going to be doing a lot more vibe coding. I've been doing a lot of vibe coding the last 6 months. And I'm just like, you know what? I want to kind of show you different ways. And when I say vibe coding, I don't mean I'm creating a app and for everyone else to use. I really want to kind of work out apps that only you can use. So it's going to help you because really I want to show you how you can build your team. And your team will be your designer might be this AI agent. This person will be that AI agent. This will be this AI platform. So even though you might be working for yourself, you'll have a team, which will be AI. Even though you won't be working for a company, you'll have a team, which will be AI. So how you can build that up. And vibe coding is going to play a very big part. Vibe coding, AI agents. Yeah. I'll get into that because I have access to some really good agents, and I just kind of want to show you. So I'll probably do some more around vibe coding, AI agents uh, soon. So this every fortnight. I'll be here next week. No, not next week. The week after, and then every fortnight I'll be dropping. One thing that I really try and do is be consistent. My podcast, I've been doing that since 2023. And in fact, on Monday will be no, Friday this week is my 600th episode. I've reached the 600th episode landmark. And well, actually, technically, it will be Thursday if I drop two today. So I'm going to take that one down and put it back again. Um, but yeah, Cassandra, I think you was there. I know you was there definitely early on. So yeah, so I'll be doing that. And then with this, I think we've been doing this for about 5 months. I think it started around about October, September time. So it might be coming up to 6 months. But like with the podcast, as long as people keep turning up, I'll keep making sure I'm putting stuff together that will ultimately help you. All right, then, guys. Well, I'm gonna wish you a good day, good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you may be. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this ice cream. I'm going to try my best to get this boy to sleep, but I know he's not going to go to sleep because whenever his mum's here, he's like playtime with daddy all the time. Thank you, Glenn. I earned my black belt. I know. I've been trying so many years. The reason why I do a lot of martial arts is because I've been doing martial arts since 2002. So I'm a big fan of martial arts. But the beauty of martial arts is because, well, when I talk about the belt system, everyone kind of gets it. Everyone kind of gets the belt system, and that's really what I want to kind of show people how you can go from not be white belt, get all the way up the belt system, and then be white belt because that's really the skill. The best sports people are the ones that make it look easy, and that's really what they do. Brilliant. Take care, everyone. I will make sure this will go up later on tonight. Also, I will add the deck, so I'll get that sent to you as well. All right. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Take care. Bye bye.